Welcome to the only place where real, raw, and vulnerable conversations happen with IFBB bikini pros to give you an inside look at their struggles, strategies, mindset, passions, and all of life beyond the stage. This podcast is made to inspire, motivate, and remind competitors and the average gym goer that even the most extreme lifestyles and elite athletes have their ups and downs. Thank you so much for tuning in today. I'm your host, Celeste Rains-Turk, and now it's time for the Confessions of a Bikini Pro podcast. Today's video and audio guest is a fitness and wellness coach who started her own journey at age 42 with the goal of going from fluffy to fit. This is going to be a theme you're going to hear about on the podcast. She is now 51 years old, helping people all around the world get in the best shape of their life using her social media platforms and one-on-one coaching. Her motto is that it is never too late to get fit, and she truly believes with the right nutrition, training, and hormone balance, anyone can do it, which she details in her book, Fluffy to Fit, and her Fluffy to Fit cookbook, which have both hit bestseller status on Amazon. And her goal is to help you get your goals no matter your age. So welcome to the show, Clare Morrow. How are you doing?
I'm good, Carol. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Yes, of course. Like I told you, you were recommended. And then I got into looking at all your stuff and I was like, we have to have her on. And there's so many things that I'm excited to discuss with you. But I always kick off every episode with this question, which is there anything you do or think about or ritual you have right before your heel hits the stage?
Usually I got a million things running through my little pea brain, before I hit this,
Right?
So, hey, heels don't buck me off. No, normally I'm just kind of going through my head, remembering the what you're supposed to do when you go out there, smile, chest up, glutes up, things like that. That's really what goes through my head. And then I'm looking for my husband. Where's he sitting at?
And then when you find your people in the crowd, you're like, oh, phew, I know where I can look when I'm on the side waiting for call outs or while everyone else is doing their routine.
Exactly.
Well, that's awesome. So I want to dive right into the exciting news, which is your books. So congratulations on hitting bestseller. That's awesome.
Thank you. It was a crazy journey writing those because literally put 2 books out within a year. It was nuts. I'm like, okay, enough with the books for a little while.
It's a lot of work. I think it's an underestimated project. I wrote a book myself 7 years ago now. It just had its birthday and self-published it also on Amazon. And it was a really fun journey, very exciting. And it's something you'll always have. It's a legacy. So what inspired you to write that book? Or actually, I should say both of those books?
I had a lot of people asking me, you need to write all this stuff down, because so often when you're on social media and you find a good video, you save it, but then you've got so many saved, you can't go back and find it again, or you forgot to save it and now you can't find the information. For example, if you hit a plateau with weight loss, oh, I know Claire talked about that. Where did that video go? Well, everything is in the book now. So you have it for life. You can refer to it as needed when you run into problems. So that's what I really like. I poured my heart and soul into the books, trying to help women because there's so much misinformation out there and so much fluff in the sense that a lot of times when you read, and I've heard this several times on a couple of the reviews, a lot of fitness books are full of, garb, like they can't understand it. And I tried to just make mine as simple as possible. Like I'm talking to you now, like your big sister is telling you what to do,
Yes. Love that. It's got to be something that's consumable and something that you can apply in your life too. So without giving us all of, the content of the book, so, leave us hanging a little bit, but what would you say are some of the key components you cover that make it something someone could use in their own journey?
Oh, absolutely. So the book is for all ages, but if you are over the age of 35 to 40, it will especially help you because I have a chapter on hormones and how that affects fat loss, how it affects, hair loss and low energy, low libido, can't sleep at night. And I had my hormone because I'm a wellness coach. So I work with many hormone specialists that are awesome. And one of them offered to help me with that chapter. And so everything that I wrote she went over it and corrected a few things to make sure it was factual and make sure that everything was in line with where it needed to be medically. So that's one chapter I'm really happy with. All the chapters are great. There's one on what to do when you hit a plateau, like I just talked about, where your macros and calories need to be to see results, because so many women are confused about that, and men too. Where do I need to be how many calories a day do I need to eat, to see results? What kind of foods do I need to be eating? So I wrote a simple meal plan in there. It's literally got everything I could think of in that book. And then the cookbook, obviously. Now the cookbook, I really was excited about, because all the questions I get on lives and stuff, one of the biggest questions was, what do I eat pre and post workout? So I put a guide in the book telling you what foods are going to be best, what recipes are best pre and post workout, and what recipes are best to eat at night. Not only that, we put macros with every single recipe, so you know exactly how much you're eating. There's no guesswork, and alternatives. So if you are plant-based, I've got alternatives in there as well.
That's a big deal. That's not something you actually see often in cookbooks, is alternatives to recipes. You generally have to research it yourself. Like, what can I use instead of this? So that's really cool.
Yeah. I tried to think of everything, because when you're trying to lose fat and you're on a fitness journey, it's there's so much garb and so much misinformation that, I tried to put it plainly as plainly as I could.
Yeah, and especially like the market that I notice you appeal most to. Now, granted, you help women and men of all ages, but I notice that there's a lot more women who would be like masters category in our sport. Yeah. So when you're speaking to those women, I imagine there's still a lot of old school thinking with fad diets. And how do you help a woman who's kind of stuck in her ways to look past that and decide, you know what, I should be in the gym lifting weights. I do need to eat more food, including fat and carbs. Like, how do you transition them from their conditioned way of thinking to seeing that this is the right way to go?
I tell ladies, it's so simple. If your diet has a name with it, you don't need it. You just need to be eating whole natural foods within your calorie deficits. That's it. I mean, these fad diets don't work for like keto, for example. Well, all that does is drain all the water out of your muscles. Now you're going to look skinny fat. Ew. Yeah, and it's not a good diet. It's not. You never want to cut out a food group. And people are so afraid of eating carbs, but there's a big difference between healthy carbs and non-healthy carbs. So, like I said in the book, I've got a whole list of the foods, but yeah, I think women are very confused about that. And then growing up, I think all of us get kind of addicted to the scale, or it rules our life, right? And when you lift weights, throw that dang scale out the window. It just does not matter, because yeah, it's true. When you lift, you're going to put on muscle, which puts weight on you. Good weight, not bad weight. So the scale is going to be all over the map. When you lift, it makes you hold water, so the scale is going to go up the next day. So I tell ladies, please don't use the scale. As if you want to use it, that's fine. Just use it every day so you can see the fluctuations. But take measurements of your hips and your waist and pictures, and go by how your clothes fit, because your clothes will never lie to you, sis. Am I right?
Yeah, that's true, honestly. And I wouldn't say we need to try to squeeze into clothing that doesn't fit, because also when you're building muscle, you start getting your booty, and then all of a sudden things are not fitting the same.
Yeah, your waist gets smaller, but your booty's getting bigger. I cannot do back zippers anymore. Like, this dress that I have on is so clingy. It's like, this is the most comfortable thing I could possibly wear. And no zippers. They does not, and my back's so wide now from competing and stuff. It's just, which I love, because the wider your back is, the more small your waist looks. So I like that look personally. And it's not for everyone. Look, I get it. You'll have a lot more muscle than most want to have. It's a personal choice for me. And I get picked on a lot. Oh, you have a deep voice. I'm like, okay, well, Carol Channing, and so did Joan Rivers. I've had a deep voice pretty much my whole life. So as long as I can remember anyways.
Wow, that's interesting. So you've gotten picked on for your deep voice. I'm imagining that comes with stereotypes within the competition world.
Oh yeah. You get in this business, you get accused of all kinds of shit, pardon my friend. But I'm honest with people that what I do is HRT, hormone replacement therapy, because when you get over the age of 35, all those symptoms I mentioned earlier, hair loss, belly fat, can't lose weight, low energy, low libido, can't sleep at night, can't lose weight no matter what you do, belly fat out of nowhere. All of those symptoms show up starting at age 35. Mm-hmm. So as we get older, it's because our hormones are diminishing. So, and they control everything in the body, including your ability to lose weight. So I'm on full HRT. I've done videos about it. I'm honest about it. I encourage other women to do it because it'll keep you healthy. Bioidentical hormone therapy. So, that's what I do. And I do the peptides too, which are amazing. And we can get into those later if you want.
Well, we'll definitely get into them. I'm actually going to ask you right now,
Yeah.
what is the difference for somebody who might be looking into options for themselves, whether that's peptides, gear, or HRT? Like, how would you outline the differences between those three tools?
Well, all of them will help you build muscle. I'm not a huge fan of the raw the gear, because I've got cancer everywhere in my family, and that honestly they scare the crap out of me. So, that worries me. But peptides are natural branches, chain branches of amino acids that we already have in our bodies when we're like young, right? But just like the hormones, it diminishes as we age. Well, technology has harnessed that technology and there's so many peptides for so many different things. There's one for healing called BPC 157, which is amazing. There's one for hair growth. There's one for skin. There's one for getting your own pituitary gland to heal you up, because we don't heal as fast as when we get older. So there's so many different ones for so many different things. So I do a combination of peptides and HRT, and it's been life-changing for me. It's kept my skin looking halfway decent, or looking like a bag of ass, as I like to say.
Oh my gosh, your skin looks incredible.
Oh, you're sweet. So it does help. I do one called GHKCU. And ladies, if you're listening and you want the information, just send me a message on Instagram at @ClareMorrow_@BBPro, and I'll be happy to help. Don't spell my name with an I. It's CLARE. You'll never find me. My mom had to be difficult.
That's so cute. Well, I think that's super insightful too, because there is a lot of combating information out there. You're going to
Oh, yeah.
hear from one person not to use peptides, another person to use peptides, and then there's a lot of conflicting information. So walk us through what you've personally noticed change in your life and others' lives, and why you became so passionate about offering this and bringing this to women.
Yeah, absolutely. So peptides will help you with so many things, like I listed. There's one called sermorelin that helps your own pituitary gland heal. So it helps you heal up so you can get back in the gym faster, or if you have an injury. But it also helps your sleep too. There's another one called ipamorelin CJC 1295. That one helps fat loss, and what the other one does too with sleep and your pituitary gland. Gosh, there's just so many. To me, it's worth the investment. They're not cheap, but it's worth the investment. This year, and just a quick story, last year when I turned 50 and I was in full-blown menopause, I hadn't competed in a couple of years. So I didn't know what I was in for, trying to lean down. I knew it was going to be tough because it's harder as you get older. So it took me a good 5 months to get to stage. And I only had to lose like 13 pounds of fat. So it was a long journey. Well, this year, going into my shows, the only thing that was different were the peptides. So these new peptides that came out, I started taking those. I'll get to that in just a minute, but I kept my cardio the same, which I don't do much cardio. I just walk. My food the same. All the things were the same coach, everything. The only difference was a peptide called MOTC, and that one controls your blood sugar, helps you with osteoporosis, and also reduces your myostatin, which a lot of people don't know what that is probably, but when you've seen those bulls that have too much muscle, it's because they have no myostatin. It's your nature's governor that controls how much muscle you can build. So hello, booty.
Yeah,
It reduces it by 40%. Yeah. So that was a good one. It helped me a lot. And then I combined that with tesofensine, which is a pill. Tesofensine helps you with your appetite, but it also helps you with lipolysis. So on that one, and then the other one is 5-aminos 1-MQ, which is also a pill. That one is really cool because it stops your body from refilling those fat cells or creating new fat cells when you're taking it. Now, this is something that you can really only stay on for about 8 weeks, and then it becomes less effective, just like most things. Yeah, they're very, very cool. And that was the only difference, was taking those 3 peptides. And it was a shredding combination because it took me about 12 weeks to lose 11 pounds. Yeah, it was a lot quicker.
wow. Well, what's interesting hearing this is I'm thinking about those who are not yet 35, because I've heard that it's generally not advised for people under 35 to take peptides. Is that right?
Usually if all your systems are running, then it's up to you. You can get tested too. That would be what I would suggest, is you can test your natural ability to heal. You can have that level tested, your own HGH. And if your own HGH is low, then I would recommend some of the peptides, absolutely, because it will help you. The only one that I wouldn't recommend for somebody who's young is full-blown HGH. Because that kind of suppresses your natural ability to heal. When you get older, you don't have it anyway, so it doesn't matter. Like you said, I'm 51, so believe me, I would not look like I do if it wasn't for the help of HRT and peptides. I really wouldn't. It's just technology's come a long, long way, you know. And never mind, of course, the working out and the food helps too. I eat very clean most of the time. But still, you know, when you're trying to build muscle, the one component you need is your natural testosterone. And that diminishes over the age of 40. And ladies, we have testosterone in our systems just like men do. And as we get older, like I said, it goes crapo. So you've got to replace it. And that is the one component that controls your energy, your libido, and your muscle building, and your brain fog. So if you've got brain fog out of nowhere and you're approaching 40, around 40, over 40, 35, that can very well be your natural testosterone is low.
So what are some things someone who is younger could be considering or looking out for to maybe prevent the need for some of those things early on, or maybe prolong the time before they need that?
There is no preventing it, unfortunately, because as we get older, it happens to all of us. Nobody's immune to it. So just look out for those symptoms at age 30, in your 30s, I would say. Sometimes it starts earlier. Ask your mom when it started for her. She'll be able to tell you. Like for my mom, I remember she started getting hot flashes around age 48, and that happened to me. And your hot flashes come from your estrogen and your progesterone, your levels are dropping. And what happens when your estrogen gets too low is your body starts storing belly fat, which is a whole nother animal. That's fun. Let me explain why. So your estrogen is produced in your fat cells, your natural estrogen. It controls your collagen. So your skin starts looking like a bag of poo as you get older because your collagen starts to diminish, which is made from your estrogen. Now, when your estrogen gets too low, your body starts storing fat in order to produce more estrogen, but it doesn't work. We end up with all this belly fat out of nowhere. And that's why that happens. So just keep an eye on your hormones, ladies, no matter how old you are. I scream about it from the rooftops almost every day on my account,
Yeah, you
on my
do.
social media.
You've made such a great, I don't know, I would say it's a niche. You've made a great niche for yourself in how you present this and your expertise in it too, and you're educating people on it. And I love your character that you play.
Oh,
The
I love doing
blonde
my
character.
character.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was so awesome.
For those of you who don't know or don't know me, I do character reels sometimes. So I have like a redneck girl, her name's Amber with a blonde wig, and then I have another girl named Karen that's kind of a know-it-all. And then there's me, who is kind of the expert in things, and you know, I get called a know-it-all from the other girls. But anyway, so I do lots of little crazy skits that are lots of fun, but they might make you laugh, but they'll also educate you as well. So I've got a new one coming. I just recorded actually. So yeah, I love doing those.
Yeah, it's really great to see how you turn this into entertainment content as well, because that makes it a lot easier to consume, right? Like we talked about with your book too. It's got to be consumable to be implementable. Now, I'll be honest though, when you hear all these different peptide names or you hear all these different hormones, it can be overwhelming. So how does somebody find a healthcare provider who can actually test and support them in working or identifying these needs?
Yeah, so you need a wellness specialist, and I talk about this a lot. OBGYNs, GPs, they don't specialize in hormones. When you go to get tested, they'll tell you you're within normal range when you're not. There's a big difference between normal range and optimal range. And if you're having those symptoms I just mentioned, you are not within optimal range or normal range either, in my opinion. But so don't go to a GP and OBGYN. You're just going to waste your time and money. Find a wellness practitioner. I have great ones that I work with as a wellness coach with my clients. They do telemedicine anywhere in the US, and they also take insurance for the lab. So if you need their information, send me a DM on Instagram. I hate to keep saying that. I sound so salesy. Send me a DM. God, link in bio. Oh my God.
I know it. Hey, I love a shameless plug. That's what this is for. It's about educating and equipping people with resources, tools, insight, and something that I think is important to understand too is how is this monitored? Like we know there's testing, right? But how do you actually monitor these things with clients and identify, okay, it's helping, or maybe it's too much, too little? How would someone know if they're doing the right thing?
Yeah. So when you first get on HRT, your body has to adjust to it. So, you know, and the bioidentical HRT, let me explain what that is. So BHRT, your bioidentical hormones are what your body already makes, right? You just don't have it anymore. So it's as natural as you're going to get. And it doesn't cause cancer. That's a myth. Don't let anybody tell you that. You just got to find a wellness doctor to get you that. I don't like the pellets because you can't control them. Do it manually. So what you do is you get on it, and then about 2 months in, you get tested again with your blood to see where you're at, because your levels are going to change, right? And I get this question a lot. What are the side effects? Really, the only side effect you're going to notice besides your symptoms going away is you might gain a little water weight for a period of time because your body has to adjust to it. So if you gain a little weight, don't panic. It's just water. Remember that if your diet hasn't changed and the scale went up, it's water or new muscle if you lift. So that's how you monitor it. Yeah.
That's an interesting point too, because there are going to be symptoms in that process, and sometimes it's that long journey, right? Like initially you might have certain experiences you're not accustomed to or don't like, but then over time, I'm imagining as you start feeling better, you realize maybe how bad it was before.
Yeah, exactly. Bingo. Yeah.
So can you tell us about what some of the common concerns are of people who are over 35 who come to you? Like, what are some of the questions that they ask, and how do you support them in answering those questions? And what would you tell someone who's listening in that age group to empower them as well?
The first question I usually get is, how do I get rid of this belly fat?
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of myths out there. Like I see these little, pardon my French, shitfluencers is what I call them. When they say, oh, do these sit-ups and you'll lose your belly fat. No. Just listen, ladies, you cannot spot reduce fat. It is all about your diet, 80% diet. You can't outrun your fork. So make sure you're eating those whole natural foods within your calorie deficit. It makes a big difference. So that is one thing that I would say. My husband's at the window. Hi. Sorry. He's waving at me. So that's one thing I would say. The belly fat is a big issue for a lot of women because, like I said, your estrogen starts to drop. If your thyroid is off, that can cause belly fat as well. That happened to me. On the cover of my book, the picture of me right here where I had all this belly fat and arm fat and everything, my thyroid was malfunctioning. So ladies, if you haven't seen my book, please go look at my before and after, because I wasn't always fit. Okay. And I weighed about 155 here. And like I said, the scale doesn't matter, but that's just what people ask me. So 3 things I was doing wrong here. My thyroid was off. I was drinking alcohol 2 to 3 times per week, not realizing it was massively slowing down my fat loss because of the way your body metabolizes it. And then number 3, I was under eating during the week and overeating on the weekends. Most ladies I run into are under eating, and they don't realize it. And what that does is it massively slows your metabolism down. So you've got to be really careful. And then they get stuck in a rut that they can't lose weight because their metabolism is slowed down too much to their low calories. And what I mean by that is like under 1,300 calories is too low. Your body requires 1,300 calories just to run itself, your hair, your skin, your organs. So when you start getting lower than that, your body starts compensating. You get hair loss, low energy, so many symptoms. So make sure you find your calorie deficit correctly. Okay. Don't undereat. So yeah, it can cause all kinds of problems, and you want to make sure that you are eating the right amount of foods and prioritizing protein, because we lose muscle as we age. We lose 8% of our muscle every decade over the age of 40 until we get to 70, and it's 15%. So when you see somebody like Biden walking around, I'm not getting political, I'm just using him as an example. He's all hunched over. We've all got grandma and grandpa that have, all shuffling around the house and lost a bunch of muscle. That is called sarcopenia, and nobody is immune to it, but there is a fix to it nowadays. You don't have to suffer. You just got to lift weights, prioritize your protein, and HRT. Those are the 3 things you need to do to prevent it.
Peace with food without sacrificing your goals as a competitor, because you deserve to have successful preps, productive improvement seasons, and peace of mind year-round. I decided to create a free 8-day food relationship coaching series a few years back that over 800 people have gone through. Because when your head is cluttered with thoughts of food, eating, guilt, you have a lot less energy to invest into the goals that you truly care about. So this free program was designed to help athletes like yourself develop a healthy relationship with food so you can have your most fulfilling and effective preps, improvement seasons, and lifestyle phases as well. This is an 8-day series that has a video every single day, a full workbook to guide you through every single video, and you can respond to the emails with the work you did and receive direct support and guidance from me personally. which is, of course, something I love to provide to the community. So you're not only going to discover your ideal relationship with food, but you'll also identify detrimental thought and behavior patterns. You'll overcome guilt and shame, so every decision can be made with intention and pride. We will use expectations and reinforcements to seamlessly manipulate your behavior around food to be more positive and aligned with that ideal relationship with food. We'll figure out why you're really craving what you are when you're sleep deep in another jar of peanut butter, or justifying that next cookie, or continuously eating endless bags of rice cakes, whatever it is for you. We'll become crystal clear on why you act, think, and live the way you do, so you can, of course, act, think, and live the way you want to. And we'll come up with some personal commitments that are rooted in positive psychology based on your current season. So this is a psychoeducational course. It is free to anyone and everyone. You can access it at www.celestial.fit/food series and learn more about it, as well as even get a sneak peek into the accessible PDF notebook with the extra resources and guidance through every single workshop along the way. If you do decide to participate in it and you love it, of course, I encourage you to share it with a friend or a teammate or another athlete who may be struggling. Or if you hear about someone's struggle, let them know that this exists.
Yeah, it's unfortunate too that there are so many resources out there, but not a lot of accessibility to them, or education around them. And we could probably get into a whole discussion around the frustrations of that. But if you were to tell someone to prioritize something to really change their life, like how would you order that prioritization to make sure that they were capitalizing on their energy and their financial investment?
Yeah, HRT, if you're over 35, it's going to change your life. It really will. It'll help you so much. And just eat natural foods. Like I said, chicken, whitefish, bison, tuna. Gosh, all of those things are what I would consider natural protein foods. And you need 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight or goal weight. And a lot of people don't talk about this, but if you are a bigger girl, and I say that lovingly, but if you are over 200 pounds, go for your goal weight in grams of protein. Because I've had that question a lot too. What do you mean I got to eat 230 grams of protein? No. Your goal weight in grams of protein. So yeah, you make sure you prioritize protein because it'll help you keep the muscle you have, put on new muscle. Don't skip the carbs. Don't skip the fats. Just know how much to eat. Track your foods. Because how do you know at the end of the day how much you're eating if you don't track it? I use MyFitnessPal for that. It's not a plug. It's just what I use.
Yeah. And then if anything, MyFitnessPal would not be a plug because they'll tell you to eat like 1,100 calories to get to your goal.
And that is true. And that's way too low. I'm like, who came up with the 1,200 calorie a day BS? My right butt cheek eats more than that.
I love that. You outlined some of the things that were different when you were younger, but can you explain to us who was Clare before this passion for fitness and health?
I was a horse trainer for years. Yeah, I know it's an odd career, but I was raised on a horse farm in England. And we immigrated to the US. Yeah, that's where I was born. Yeah, it's all in my book too, but that's where I was born. My mom immigrated to South Texas, of all places. What a culture shock, I know. And it was not a scholarship, but she was hired to be director of the equine science program at Texas A&I, now Texas A&M in Kingsville. So I lived there for a good while. I learned how to speak Spanish. I learned how to defend myself because I was the only gringa around. So that was entertaining. And of course, I was raised around horses my whole life. So when I grew up through high school and all of that, I did all the normal things, your waitressing jobs and all that. And I came back to the horses and I enjoyed it. And I trained horses for a good while professionally. And I quit doing that when I got an injury in my neck. I got a herniated disc. Now, when you have one of those, your pain is pretty bad. Like it goes down your arm, down your back. So I couldn't bounce very well on the horses. I could lift all day long because it's controlled, but I can't run because it'll irritate my neck and my knees. So I had to stop doing it professionally because I wasn't going to take that's not my jam. I'm not going to take people's money if I can't do it right. So I retired from horses. Luckily, I have a wonderful husband who supports me, and just didn't really I started getting into the bodybuilding mostly because I was rehabbing my neck at the time. And while I was doing that, I met a girl who was and I wrote about this in my book, and I still talk to her this day. When you first see one of those girls across the gym and they're doing lat pull downs and all their back muscles are popping out, right? You're like, oh my God, that's awesome. if you're into that, you're like, I want to look like that. That was I told my husband, I looked at him, we were both on the treadmill warming up, and I said, I want to look like that. How does that happen? And I'm like a giant lab. I will run up to you and talk to you. I'm not going to lick your face, but I'll talk to you. So I went up and I was like, hey, my name's Claire, tell me how you do this, and we got to talking. We've been friends ever since. And she told me her age, and she was only a couple years younger than me. And I said, that was when it dawned on me that it is possible. She goes, oh, there's older women than me doing this that look even better than me. I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. And sure enough, when I got into the bodybuilding, that's what kind of pushed me in that direction, because I wanted to reshape my body. I had some loose skin I wanted to fill out. Because I had been overweight, I had some loose skin under my arms and I couldn't stand it. I'm like, oh, what do I do with this? I can't fill it back out with fat again. That's a hard no.
Yeah.
So I built muscle to fill it out, and it worked pretty well.
Yeah, that's so awesome. One, I think it's great that you saw someone who you aspired to be like, and you were willing to ask the question and learn from them. And then two, that turned into so much more. And I think that that's a great lesson. And sometimes you don't know what will come out of one conversation or one decision, even an injury. It can end up being a big blessing. And eventually you started competing. So talk to us about your road to pro. How did that unfold for you?
Yeah, I did a lot of shows. Like when I first started competing, I just wanted to do it for fun. I didn't even know pro was a thing, because unless you're in bodybuilding, you really don't understand the nuances of it all. But the more I got into it, the more I was like, I remember the first time I met a pro, I was like, oh my God, that's a pro. Oh my God. You're a little starstruck, even though you may not know their name or whatever, but somebody tells you they're a pro and you're like, oh my gosh. So that's kind of new. I knew that was the direction I wanted to go, and I just kept going with it and kept going with it. And I'm one that when I dig in, I dig in. I am not going to give up for shit. I'm like a Jack Russell. I'll get on it, lock on it until I get where I want to go. And that's what I did. And it took a few years. I didn't have enough muscle. I made a lot of mistakes. Ladies, please don't overtrain. I did that too much. Try not to lift more than 4 to 5 times per week in the gym for no more than an hour, because your body can't take it any more than that. You're overdoing the muscle. So I did too much of that. I was working body parts twice a week when they only need to be worked once a week. So my progress was slower than most, because I didn't realize that I was overtraining. I didn't realize I was shrinking the muscle, not growing it, if you will. It's kind of like a marathon runner. They're about long, lean, and stringy because they're constantly out there running, right? They're running their muscles into the ground, which is fine if that's what you want to look like. But if you're trying to build a butt and you're trying to build some shape to your body, you don't want to be overtaxing the muscle. So that was some mistakes that I made. I underate, not realizing that, I thought all we needed was protein to build muscle. No. It's calories too. You don't have to eat like an asshole. You don't have to eat like, over maintenance too much. You just need to make sure you're eating enough for your body to build muscle. And then about a year into my journey, I was 42 when I started actually lifting. I was 38 in the picture on the book when I was the fluffiest. But when I started, I was 42. And my coach, who was a male, said to me, we need to get your hormones checked. And I was like, what? Why? I didn't know that was a thing. I didn't know. I had no clue. Like most people, right? And he goes, yeah, you need to go get checked. And I'm like, well, that could have been good information a year ago. Men. Anyway, so I got him checked, and sure as shit, my thyroid was a mess. And so was my testosterone. I had zero testosterone. Now, ladies, you cannot build muscle without testosterone. It is one of those natural components we have in our bodies that we lose over the age of 35. So I tell you what, this is the coolest thing. When I started implementing the HRT and started doing the testosterone and progesterone, because I was low on that too. As soon as I started doing that, I kid you not, within 2 weeks, I started getting some muscle to show up. Like literally, there it was. I'm like, oh my Lord, something, just a big light bulb went off in my head. And it fascinated me. And I'm like, oh, the chemistry in our bodies, that makes sense. So I started researching, learning, studying, and that's what led me to doing what I do today.
Interesting. So it was really the impact it had on your life and your journey where you're like, I got to make sure everybody knows about this.
Yeah. Yes. And I scream it from the rooftops. And I try to post good information that people can use in their everyday lives, because most coaches won't tell you anything. They'll try to get you to sign up for their programs. I could give two shits about that. What I care about is helping people, because in life, that's what matters. That's what we're here to do, is help others. And truthfully, if I'm lucky enough to go to heaven and meet God, and he looks at me and says, what did you do with your life? What did you do to help other people? I want to have an answer for that. I really do. So it's soul food for me as well.
That's really cool. How else does your spiritual journey play a role in this?
Oh yeah. Very spiritual, girl. very. I'm not one of those religious nuts. I'm a spiritual person though. Very, very, very. I think that everything in life is meant to happen. You know, for the most part, there are no coincidences in life. I can't tell you how many times I've prayed on something, you know, so like, you know, send me any women that need help or whatever. And then that next day I'll get 2 or 3 messages from women asking me a question or needing something. And if you ever message me on Instagram, I will answer you. I am not that girl who's going to ignore you or block you, or, and I can't tell you how many times I've messaged another pro and they will not message me back. I'm like, rude. So I always make sure that I do, because everybody's important. I don't care who you are. We all breathe the same air and we're all important.
Agreed, 100%. And I think it's important to be there to support people. And I know that the God that we love and who loves us is so powerful, and he will answer our prayers, and sometimes in ways that we can't even fathom that he was able to do that, and yet he does. And I think it's really beautiful that you've been able to use that in helping more people too. And something that I also really admire about you is your relationship with your husband. So you guys have been married together 23 years.
Very good, yeah.
That is awesome. And he's also very fit. So he started at 60, now he's 70. Neither of you look your age, whatever that means. I mean, if you compare it to the normal age, right? I think more people could and should, right? But you guys are just such a fit, healthy, inspiring, loving couple. It's awesome to see. Before I talk about the fitness side of things, what was it like getting him on board making content with you? Or did he want to do that as well?
No, he's the shy one. We're opposites. Like, he's more reserved, and he's the kind of person that when you meet him, you want to sit and talk to him, because he's one of those that's an old soul, very knowledgeable, very wise, right? So yeah, he'll do videos with me if I, you know, want him to, you know, sometimes I gotta bribe him into it, but he's pretty good about it, you know, because he knows that, and I've had messages from wives asking about, what does your husband do? My husband wants to know what your husband does, you know, because he started at 60. He was not young at all. And he's now 70 and he's a brick shit house. I mean, he looks amazing, right? And I'm so proud of him. We started this journey together. Like, when I first told him, look, I want to maybe compete in bodybuilding, what do you think? I would never make a decision without him. Everything is together for us. And he looked at me and he's like, okay, well, let's go check a show out. So we went to a show, and he quickly realized, as did I, this is not anything sexual on stage. It is, you've worked hard. This is, you know, you're presenting your muscles as they are. Because a lot of people think bodybuilding is more sexual. It's not. It's about your physique and how much you've built, and that's what they judge. It's not a beauty pageant either, because you could be ugly as a mud hen, and still win the show, you know, if you have a better physique. That's just the way it is. And then after that show, we came home and we sat down on the couch, and I said, well, what do you think? And he says, well, if you're going to do this, I'm going to do it with you, because I'm not going to look like a fucking Uber driver taking you into a show, dragging the bikini model into a show. I fell off the couch laughing. And that's my husband. He has a great sense of humor. Awesome. Like, he always makes me laugh. And yeah, we'll be married 20 years in February. So we've been together 23. So yeah, it's good.
That is so awesome. I was curious if it started at the same time. So it sounds like it did. And the journey you've both been on is so amazing. Was he also living a similar lifestyle to you before competing, like with drinking, or no?
Well, okay. We would drink 2 to 3 times per week. Yes. He would have a beer every night when I first met him. No, you know, people do that. It's normal, right? You know, and he looked decent when we got, but you know, when you get married, you get comfortable, and I got fluffy. He got a little fluffy. And what the straw that broke the camel's back for us when we started to go back to the gym and try to get fit was my mom got diagnosed with stage 4 cancer, and his brother died of a heart attack within a month of each other. And I looked at him on that same couch and I said, babe, I don't want to wait for some disease to come for me. We need to do something, and we need to do it now. And I was right, because my mom did pass. She had a very aggressive cancer, and she suffered for years, and I don't want it. And it makes sense to me. I do not drink much anymore because they've linked alcohol to cancer. She drank 3 to 4 times per week. All my aunts and uncles drank 3 to 4 times per week, and all of them died of cancer. So what does that tell me? It tells me I need to stay away from alcohol as much as possible. So ladies, or men, if you didn't know that about the alcohol, look into it. It's been linked to 7 different types of cancer. So be careful with it. Also slows protein synthesis and slows your fat loss down to a crawl. Anyway, so that was why we pretty much gave up drinking. And we started meal prepping and doing all the things. We cook together, we work out together. In a sense, we're at the same gym at the same time. He has his trainer and I've got my program that I follow from my coach. So yeah, it's been a great journey. He keeps himself in shape, and I like to as well. If people ask me what keeps you motivated, he does, but I also like my damn clothes to fit.
Mm-hmm.
There's no bigger beating for us getting on the bed and trying to zip up your pants, right? And you can't get them zipped up because you're fluffy as hell. There's no bigger beating than that for us ladies. So yeah, no.
Yeah, you want to be comfortable in your skin and you want to be healthy and feel amazing. And you saw how that affected your family members, and you lost loved ones to lifestyle choices that you didn't want to continue to make or threaten your own life with. And I think that takes a lot of courage, because to change behavior, sometimes people will wait until it's them who's fighting it, and they don't think about the signs from their loved ones. So what was it that you think is different that let you go, I don't want this to be me? And how might someone get that same type of fire in them?
It was an inner knowing for me. It was just a light bulb that switched on. I'm like, I can't continue to do this. It's not going to end well. Let's just put it that way. As they say, let food be your medicine, or medicine will be your food. Let me say that again.
Yeah.
Let food be your medicine, or medicine will be your food. That is the absolute God's honest truth. And I just didn't want to go there, and neither did he. And his brother died at age 60 from a heart attack, and he was a horrible lifestyle. He was a great guy, but he was a drinker and a partier and a smoker and all the things. And Randy's the polar opposite. Like he's, didn't really, he's always been a little more healthy and conscious and stuff. So, yeah, no, I forgot your original question because I'm 51 and my brain just went bleep.
No, it was just about how you kind of got that drive from yourself, and you said that it was an inner knowing compared to others who maybe just let time pass until it affects them.
Yeah. And don't do that, because, we are all one phone call away from tragedy or life-changing news. Your mom's got cancer, your grandpa's going to die, and of course our lives are going to end. There's no doubt about it, but I want to be healthy as long as I can, and help other women as much as I can. Because, like I said, I think we're all here to help each other, truthfully. So yeah, I think that, anybody can do it. You just got to put your mind to it and keep at it. Don't let other people discourage you. We had some of that too, where, sometimes the family members were a bit like, what are you doing? We were taking fun pictures with Jay Furtes, like he was dressed as Superman and I'm, whatever. And it was fun pictures, and the family was like, whoa, what do y'all do? They thought it was weird at first. And I think we're all into something that somebody else thinks is weird, but we enjoy it, and we still to this day take, fun pictures when we want to, when we're both like getting ready to go on vacation or something. But no, we motivate each other as much as we can. Yeah.
My favorite was your guys' Christmas photo. That was that was so cute. I love that.
I'll probably post that again this year. The one with the tinsel.
Yeah, it's just so adorable. And I think there's a few things that stood out to me from that. So one, from my own personal experience, you said you're a phone call away, right? Something could happen. And for me, I received that phone call that my mom died, and it was heartbreaking, as you can imagine. And I remember after that, I thought, not that I couldn't continue, but it just took the life out of me. It was so traumatic. And when I was able to keep showing up for myself, I attribute it to having established such great habits through this lifestyle. So even if you haven't gotten the call, you don't expect to get the call, no one wants to get the call, if you have let's say you have no health concerns even in your history, I would still encourage healthy lifestyle with habits, because if something happens, what helped me was I didn't want to show up then, but I knew there was a version of me who thought it was worthwhile to keep showing up. And she was showing up before that. So I needed to show up anyways. And I think that's why it is important to have those habits. And then you're showing other people too. Like when you put out your lifestyle, if you post a photo with your husband and you guys are drinking, how is that any different or better than posting a photo of you guys at the gym? It's just the lifestyle you choose, and what you put out there, I do think has an impact on people and what they think is a healthy or positive thing to do.
Yeah, I hope so. And I'm not saying we never drink. We'll drink on special occasions, but I'm maybe one glass of wine in and I'm done, but normally it's like anniversary or maybe we're on vacation. When we went to Italy this year, I drank a little bit, but not very much, because I know what it can do. But yeah, you're absolutely right. I try to encourage people as much as possible. And tell them, watch my stories because I put a lot more sometimes in my stories than you'll even see on the feed. And what's a shame now is the algorithms on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube have all changed so much. You're just because you follow somebody doesn't mean you're going to see their stuff.
True.
So I encourage everybody to interact with the accounts that you actually like and want to see their stuff. Like, comment, and share. And I don't say this lightly, okay? Because you're training your own algorithm. And if you don't encourage things to be shown to you, the algorithm will think you're not interested and won't show it to you anymore. So if you're sitting there thinking, well, that's why I haven't seen so and so in a while, go comment on a few of their posts and I guarantee you they will come back up in your FYP or in your newsfeed. Yeah.
Absolutely. And, to that point too, like if you have a creator, like for example, we've been posting so many videos and reels for the podcast, and it's something that we're all really excited about. My team anyways, me and my executive assistant who really supported this endeavor and has been encouraging it for a long time. So we're finally doing it. And I'm like, the more people who interact with it and show us that they like it, the better. And I'm investing in other endeavors for the podcast that I'm really excited about that about, but I haven't really shared much here. But I'm like, okay, the more you tell your the creators of content that you like, that you enjoy it, the more they can invest in making it. But when we don't know, it's almost discouraging, which is why it always means so much when people like reach out or share the content or say thank you, or even just say what an impact it makes. Like it's not about money. It's not about, like you said, it's not about money. It's not about buy this. It's like, am I making an impact?
Yes, it's discouraging. You're 100% nailed it. It's discouraging. When I first started on TikTok, I had a great reach. It was going, and I was helping people. And then TikTok screwed all the creators and just changed the algorithm to the point to where the views are like 10% of what you would normally get. It's so sad. Wow. And then somebody will pop up and say, well, I haven't seen you in a while. I'm like, well, that's because you haven't commented or liked or shared my stuff. That's why. But I hate to tell people that because, then they're like, well, why do I have to do that? Well, again, you're training your algorithm, but each creator, not just me, yourself, others, work very hard at what we do. Like, investing in lighting. And I've got a whole room now where I do all my recordings, as do you, right? And, I drag my husband into like helping me do stuff. He'll literally throw stuff at me sometimes, for the character reels. So if you see something hit me, it's usually Randy throwing it at me. Dragged me off, the estrogen one, he was dragging me off. I need to get behind the scenes because it's pretty funny. But anyway, all these, and I'm not being ungrateful. I love what I do. I absolutely love what I do. I love being a creator, but it is discouraging when you don't reach your whole audience. So for example, let's say a woman is in a fat loss plateau, and I make a video about it. Well, she may not get to see it if 3 people in front of her didn't watch it all the way through or interact with it, right? Yeah, because when you interact and share and like, it gets passed on to the next person. So if you need to see a video, you may not be interested in what I posted about that day, but the next day you may need to have seen the next post, but you didn't get to.
Yeah, and then it's so true. It's a very weird thing, but on one hand, I'm like, I wish it would change. And on the other hand, I know that we do determine so much of our algorithm where I'm like, if I've learned from interacting with other people's content, even who you message, like story algorithms are different than post algorithms. Like someone's liking and messaging your story, they might see all your stories and none of your posts.
Right.
But and then the opposite can be true. People who only interact with your posts may never see your stories because the algorithms are actually different for who you're seeing.
Yeah, no, it's so true. So I encourage you, ladies, women, men, please interact with the creators that you like. Do you actually want to see their content? You're not going to like block or unfollow or whatever, but and just be aware that my page is mostly helpful, but sometimes I post bodybuilding stuff. So I'll post pictures, and I've gotten people that unfollowed me from the competition because I was posting competition stuff. And I'm like, I'm proud of myself. It's part of what I do. I'm a pro athlete, so I'm going to post about that now and again when it's competition season. Now I'm probably going to retire at some point, but anyway.
What are your current goals?
I don't know. It depends. I did a couple of shows this year, got 3rd place, which I was happy with because the IFBB is not easy to compete. I don't care how old you are. So maybe next year, it'll probably be late summer if I compete next year. I may need to take a year off. I don't know, because we've got a bucket list trip planned for next year. So we're wanting to go to Bora Bora. So yeah,
Awesome.
I'm
How
so
cool.
excited.
Are you
Yep.
staying on the water?
Oh yeah, there's gonna be some fun content coming. I can see it.
Oh, that's gonna be so awesome for you guys. This is a bucket list trip, so you've thought about it for decades, or is this like more so the last few years?
Oh no, probably decades. It's something that we've always wanted to do. My mom went there when she was alive, and she loved it. And we went to Rome and Positano this last summer, and that was another bucket list trip. I always wanted to go there because the Amalfi Coast just looked gorgeous, and it was amazing, amazing. I highly recommend. Rome was unbelievable, unbelievable. I enjoyed Rome so much. It was probably my favorite. So we did that trip this year, and we're looking at Bora Bora next year. Just to get out and do something. Normally we'll go to the Caribbean or something, but we're branching out a little bit more. I'll get a little bit because COVID hit, right, and that's when everybody got fluffy. Was when COVID hit, but you couldn't travel anywhere. So what our international plans were then, we had to table because of all of that stuff. We're like, I am not getting mask on and all this crap to get. No, we'll wait until this blows over.
Yeah, there were some travel restrictions to go somewhere, and I won't share all the personal details of it, but I was not able to go. Like, I couldn't go.
No.
And I remember being like, this really sucks because it would have been nice, but I'm going in 2024. And it's funny because yeah, I was just messaging my coach about this, and I'm like, I'm super excited. We're going to Austria. Okay.
Oh,
So
fun.
yeah, and like, I mean, the mountains, the beautiful, I mean, who's from Austria? Arnold. So
Yeah.
that's pretty cool. So I'm looking forward to it, but then I'm like, wow, we're going in the middle of summer. I'm trying to compete in August. I'm like,
Yeah.
but this is the thing that I think competitors can lose sight of is life outside of competing.
Yes, you're
The
right.
stage will be there. The opportunities will be there. And if you have a once in a lifetime trip or a bucket list trip, go. Don't put it on
Yeah.
the back burner.
It's true. And when we went to Italy, normally when we go on vacation, I'll gain a ton of weight because I love to eat all the foods and stuff. And I was a little concerned about that going to Italy, but you know what? I only gained like a pound, and that was it because the food over in Europe is so much cleaner than it is here. They have a lot more restrictions on their food. Quick story short, I ate a lot of weird foods. We walked a lot too, and people underestimate walking 10,000 steps a day. That's amazing for burning calories. But anyways, so we did all that. And when I came home and started eating my normal prep clean foods, I felt like recycled monkey shit, girl. I mean, I was like, what are they putting in our food? Because immediately I came into this brain fog city, and I'm like, what in the hell? So that really opened my eyes in a way. So I've been even cleaning my food up even more. If I'm going to, a butcher shop for my meats and trying to avoid grocery store stuff as much as I can, because, I think that they do mess with our foods more than we realize.
It's fascinating. Everyone I've spoken to who's ever been to European countries, specifically like Italy, I've heard this a lot, that they feel so much better. Like they can eat foods they can't eat in America. They can eat pasta, bread,
Yeah.
pastries, and it doesn't affect them the same way.
Yeah. Literally, I bought Italian flour the second I got home, imported from Italy. I'm like, you can get that stuff on Amazon, by the way. I have an Amazon favorites page. So everything that I use, I put on there. And I tell people all the time, I'm not that shitfluencer that's going to share something with you. She doesn't use herself. I'm not that girl. So I literally put the Italian flour under my food swaps because it's good. It's cleaner.
Yeah, I think that's such a good point. And there's things that we can do within our control. And if we notice it makes us feel better, I think it's a worthwhile thing to continue to do or strive to do. And sometimes, again, we don't know how bad we feel until we experience feeling so good. You experienced so good when you went there, you came home, you're like, I need to do something different to feel even better here.
Yeah, exactly. No, it's a real thing. Like I said, I think they put more junk on our foods than we realize. And, that really opened my eyes because I felt like my body was running on all 8 cylinders in Italy. I felt good. Jet lag wasn't an issue. It was amazing. When I got home, like I said, it wasn't even the jet lag. It was the food. And I was eating well when I got home, like I normally do. I'm like, oh my God. And I really started going through my foods more so than normal. Yeah.
Interesting. Now, did you, throughout, you had talked a little bit about your first prep experience compared to your most recent. Did you have any setbacks that came up in your journey, maybe even mentally, emotionally, or in life that you felt helped you to become the athlete you are now?
Oh, sure. You're always going to run into problems. When everything is bunnies and rainbows, you don't learn anything.
Yeah.
So, I ran into arthritis pretty quickly. I had a little bit of arthritis when I started, but not much. But I could feel it a little bit more. And again, I was overtraining, and that was the biggest part of it. Is I was trying to do legs 3 times a week. Don't do that, ladies. Don't, especially if you're older. You don't need to train your glutes 3 times a week. They will not grow, even when you're young. Twice a week at most. So now I do my legs every 5 days. But anyways, yeah. So I ran into some arthritis problems. And one of the orthos I went to said, you need to stop it right now. It's going to get worse. And then I went to another ortho, and he's like, no, you can keep doing it. We just need to do this, this, and this. So what I do now is I inject my knees with Monovisc, and it's like the synovial fluid that you normally have in your knees. Well, it's pretty much out the window as you get older. So it replaces it, and it's like a gel that gets in there, and it really does help. So I do that every 6 months. I try to do PRP in between that, injected into my knees. That helps too. Insurance will cover a lot of these things. So it's just knowing the research, right? Women, when they're wanting to know something, do better research than the FB freaking I.
It's so
yeah.
true.
So it's just knowing what you need to do to go forward. So that was one big obstacle I ran into, because literally broke down crying when that first doctor told me that, you really shouldn't keep doing this. I'm like, no, there's got to be other ways, and I just found other ways, and it paid off, because I've been doing this, gosh, 9 years now. And I push a good amount of weight a lot of times on leg day. So, I'm careful. I don't overtrain now. My shoulders didn't grow until I stopped training them twice a week. Now I only train them once a week, and now I have shoulders. So just take note, ladies, if you take nothing from this podcast, take that away. 1 training session per week per body part, or it won't grow.
I think that there's so much more value in rest than we know. And
Yeah.
even from a mental perspective, like when I'm training 3 to 4 days a week, or even up to 5 instead of 6, 7,
Yep.
I put so much more energy. I have more energy physiologically for my sessions. I'm not sore going into my sessions as often, except maybe at the start of a program. And I want to give more, because mentally I'm like, this is my opportunity to train legs, so I'm gonna crush it.
Yeah, exactly right. Rest is key. I had a trainer say to me once, when do our muscles grow? And I said, at night when we rest. He goes, exactly. So a light bulb went off in my head when he said that. And I'm like, oh, okay. Because I'm one of those that I will overdo everything, and I will learn the hard way. So let me learn it for you. And the testosterone, that was another thing. Those were the 2 things that I was doing incredibly wrong. I had, my chemical balance was off. And then, the overtraining was huge too. So between those 2 things, getting that sorted out, and then I really started to see more results. And that was when my glutes grew too. And girl, I come from a long line of flat asses and smart asses. So if I can do this, anybody can do it. I mean, seriously, you should see my family. It's just like nothing but straight down. Got nothing. And that was how I was when I started. I had nothing. And I documented the journey from start to finish. And sometimes I'll post my transformations and such, but and I did it all in my 40s to my 50s. In fact, I made the most progress in the last few years after I got my pro card.
Yeah. So what was your feedback last season? Or this season, because you placed so well, you performed so well. So what's the feedback you're kind of going off of?
So the first show that I did, I got 3rd, and they said I was just a little bit too hard, which happens as you get older. So the next show I came in a little softer, but I was too soft. So I didn't place quite as well. So I'm like, all right, I know what I need to do next year. So yeah, I mean, each show is a learning experience. You'll learn something from each one, and don't get discouraged, because anytime that you have something negative happen in your life, you just got to use it as your fuel, right? And when you're on stage and they don't call out your number, don't make a face, don't pout, don't walk off stage in a rage. Don't ever do that. Don't blame the judges, because the judging in NPC is very fair. You would not believe it is very fair. And I would go as far to say the pros too. I mean, I think the judging is fair too. I don't find a lot of politics, especially in the master's classes. I mean, they may have their favorites in the open bikini. I don't know. But for the most part, I've found that everyone's nice. The judges are more than willing to give you some feedback. So yeah, that's what they said. I was just a little bit too hard. And that was basically about it on that first one. The other girl deserved to win. I mean, her glutes were tight and she wasn't as hard. And yeah. And so that's okay. I don't mind losing to somebody who looks better. It's good.
That's right. And honestly, like the whole politics argument, I always just say like, okay, well, let's say there was politics. They're throwing out the highest and lowest score. So
Right.
it would have to be a severe discrepancy for there to be like every single judge would have to be politically skewed towards one way or the other.
Yeah.
And they can lose their positions over that. And there's the testing, because we've had different judges on here and or competitors who became judges, and the testing to be a judge, like your scores are being compared to the head judge scores. If
Right.
you're not matching that, you're not ready to be at the panel. And so they're very, I think, honest about that. And sometimes I think that the only issue is when a judge doesn't excuse themselves if they have a personal relationship with an athlete. But I think that's improved more over the years.
Yeah, my coach was on the judging panel at one of the shows and he excused himself because, that was the right thing to do. And I agree, I'm like, don't do it. It won't end well. So yeah, I agree with you. I think it's very fair. One of my coaches for years was a head judge for a while. And, he's like, no, it's as fair as you're going to get, So yeah, never blame the judges. Just go back to the drawing board, take the criticism and get better. Use it as your fuel to get better. Don't be a blamer. Don't blame everybody else. Oh my God, she had this or that, or the judge this. No, it doesn't make you look good. Don't do it.
It's poor sportsmanship. And I think that it takes, it almost emphasizes identifying with your score and with your titles and with your placings instead of identifying with the pursuit of being better and having greatness in your life.
Bingo. Yahtzee. Yes.
Yahtzee. That's awesome. So I love to wrap up the episode by asking your best advice. So what would be your best advice to someone who has never competed before but wants to, and then your best advice for someone who's on their road to pro?
Yeah, listen to your coach. Make sure you hire a good coach. Listen to your coach. Don't deviate from the program. They cannot coach you if you deviate and don't tell them. So make sure you're doing exactly what they tell you to do. And don't give up, and don't think you're too old to do it because you're never too old. I've got girls out there that I know that are over 60. I did a 60 and up post where all the girls in the bikinis were in there. Those are all my friends and they're all over 60 and look incredible. So don't give up on yourself. And even if you're just lifestyle, you can do this. You can get fit. My best advice to competitors or not, get your hormones checked. Even if you're young, get your testosterone checked because that is one key component you need to build muscle. Okay. It also helps your energy, your libido, all the things. So make sure you get your hormones checked and look for a wellness specialist for that. Eat natural foods, high in protein, walk 10,000 steps a day, especially if you're trying to lose fat. That's very, very underrated. The walking. I do a lot of it. My whole prep, I did 10,000 steps a day, no cardio, none. I woke up and I walked for my fat and didn't even get my heart rate up. Not really. Because it takes my glutes if I do. Your glutes will shrink if you do too much. Yeah. So that my body's sensitive. It'll take them quickly. So 10,000 steps a day. And then by the end of my prep, I was doing 12, 13,000. And then the last 2 weeks, I was up to 14,000, 15,000. So you just get up and you walk, and that means going to the mall, going to the grocery store, taking the dog for a walk, whatever. Move more. It's so underrated. But you can't outrun your fork. So if your diet's not on point, you can't eat like an asshole and expect to make progress. Make sure you follow me because I do try to help in any way that I can on my Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. Name is the same everywhere. Clare, Clare, MORROW _IFBB pro. And I'm happy to help anybody who's willing to listen.
And what is your website?
Oh, claremorrow.com. I do offer online coaching. I do not advertise it very often. I give out more value than probably anybody I know. Not trying to brag. I just know that to be pretty close to a fact. So yeah, I do have programs as well. My books will help you more than anything though. Fluffy to Fit cookbook, full macros with each recipe. I put my heart and soul into both these books, but please don't buy the books without reading the reviews on Amazon. Oh my gosh. I have both of them on Amazon. They're also available as an ebook for $15 and you can't go wrong with that. And those are on my website, claremorrow.com.
That's awesome. I will make sure that's all in the show notes page. You guys know that's always on celestial.fit/podcast. If you're listening first thing on Friday morning, it'll be at the top of the page. If you're listening in the future, scroll down to the category section, which is alphabetized. And you can find all of those links, but not just the links. We have a full summary of every single episode, timestamps of the episode, and then a bulleted list of the topics we covered. So if you're new here, you can go back and see other things that have been covered in other episodes. Or of course, if you're sharing this episode with others, you can tell them what they have to look forward to when they listen, and you can go back and listen to your favorite parts. We always appreciate when you guys tag us on Instagram. So Claire gave her Instagram. I'll give mine at celestial_fit. Let us know what your takeaways were, what you enjoyed, or that you tuned in with us today. It always means a lot to me and the athletes. Like we said earlier, it's great as a creator and just show support, lets us know what you want to hear more of. So Claire, thank you so much for your time and all your insights today.
You're welcome. Don't forget to interact with everybody's posts so they keep showing up in your feed if you really want to see them, because even though you follow them doesn't mean you're going to see their stuff.
That's right. Well, thank you so much. And to everybody listening, thank you all for listening, tuning in today. Hope you have an amazing rest of your day, night, or morning, wherever you are in the world while you're listening to this episode. Just make it awesome.